So this past spring, Loyola University student Anna Wassman was preparing herself for graduation, but with only months away from her big day, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. Take a look at her story.
I was at home and just doing like kind of my normal feel, like I do it all the time just to feel what my normal is, and I felt something that was off. I didn't know what it was, kind of freaked out a little bit. So the next morning I remember just waking up, I think earlier than I normally do, and calling my doctor the second their office opened, and I was like, hey, can I come in? I just want to do a well woman check. I think something is off.
Most people in their early 20s are not doing those self-checks.
Right.
What do you think would have happened if you had not found this?
I think it would have been worse. I got so lucky I caught this very, very early stages. I mean, it ended up being 2 millimeters, so that's not too big, but I mean, I caught it stage 2A. So that means it hadn't spread to my lymph nodes, like it wasn't that bad, like it was treatable. And if I hadn't done this check myself, I never would have found it. I think in general, you never know like what it means when you're diagnosed with breast cancer. Like, is this a death sentence? Am I going to die right now? Like, what does this mean?
So what was that like, trying to break all this news? You were going to the doctor's appointments by yourself, but you had to give all this news to your family. It's okay.
It was very hard. Actually, I told my whole family over the phone because everyone was gone. So it was hard to let them know it was okay and that everything would be okay. But to also know that we had to deal with this now. And this was, I guess, going to be our new normal for a little bit. So we had all these plans and all this stuff, and it's just like, how do you move forward from that? So my stepdad knew that I was going in for this biopsy, and he knew that it could go either one of two ways. That it could go, I'm fine and like no big deal, or I could have cancer. And we didn't want to tell my mom because she is like the biggest worrier in the world. So
any mother would be.
Exactly.
Any mother would be.
My stepdad and my brother know like how my mom is, and so they had to sit her down first and like calm her down, because I was like, I cannot talk to her and be strong like how I am and how I want to be and how I personally want to deal with this. But what they did was they sat her down and they talked to her and they told her, and then we all family FaceTimed.
Yeah.
She handled it really well, and she saw that I wanted to be strong and do this my way and kind of not, I didn't want anyone feeling sorry for me.
Yeah.
You know, like, it sucks that this happened, and it was the most terrible thing, I think, to hear, especially at 25. But I didn't want anyone to feel sorry for me, and that's why it was, I think, so hard to tell them, because I didn't want them to just think that I was helpless now.
So what'd you think when the doctor tells you, okay, let's talk about your fertility?
That was something I had no idea was going to be a thing. I guess I just wasn't aware of everything that went into breast cancer, especially young breast cancer. I knew I maybe wanted kids at some point, but I didn't think I'd have to think about it then. I just wanted to make sure I was getting the best treatment that I could at this time. So that was kind of like what I did immediately. Was I was mad, and I was like, no, this isn't gonna happen to me. I'm not gonna let this breast cancer take me and ruin my life. So I changed it.
So Anna joins us now along with Dr. Jennifer Hirshfeld-Cytron from Fertility Centers of Illinois. Hello and good morning.
Hi.
Hi.
So first of all, thank you so much for sharing your story. You actually are now considered cancer-free.
I am, yep.
Okay, well, we are so happy to hear that.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
But we know these past few months, it's been just a roller coaster for you. When you were fighting breast cancer, you actually had to take on another procedure after chemotherapy. You had to decide whether or not you were going to freeze your eggs. So just tell me what that process felt like to you.
Yeah, it was honestly just another addition to everything. I was planning surgery, I was planning chemotherapy, and on top of that, all of a sudden, fertility preservation. And it's a very quick thing in the grand scheme of everything I went through with my breast cancer. But fertility preservation was a 2-week portion of my life where I had to do injections every day, and it was just, I felt like I blinked and it was over.
We hear about breast cancer, but we don't usually hear about it from someone as young as you. You had a lot to think about it, just 25 years old. And Dr. Hirshfeld, Anna is just one of the many stories as to why women end up freezing their eggs. But let's actually dive into the topic today, dive a little bit deeper actually. Women are waiting longer and longer to have children.
Absolutely, yes. We see that women are waiting longer to have their families. We know that unfortunately age is not great for our ovaries and our ovarian potential. We are seeing more and more patients do elective egg freezing. In the past year, we've seen an increase at Fertility Centers of Illinois by 30%.
Wow.
So it's definitely increasing in its prevalence.
Yeah, and women are just thinking ahead. Thinking ahead. So what would you say is the ideal age or the ideal candidate for someone freezing their eggs?
So in general for women, our ovaries decrease their potential in our late 20s, then again in our 30s. So optimal time is probably for most women when they're less than 35, less than 37.
Okay, and it can be a very emotional process with a lot of steps to it that Anna was doing both at the same time, fighting breast cancer as well as going through hormone therapy. Can you just walk us through kind of the steps, and I know it's different for everyone, but the general steps of getting your eggs frozen?
Yeah, absolutely. For patients who are doing this for elective reasons, it's not going to be such a crash course like it was for Anna. They'll meet with a physician, they'll do some baseline testing, and then they will start, as Anna described, those 2 weeks or so of injection-based medications that culminates in a retrieval procedure that's done with twilight anesthesia where the eggs are extracted.
And so, of course, the next question is, when you do decide to do this, how much does a procedure like this cost?
So when patients are doing egg freezing, sometimes, but often it is not covered by insurance, and so it ranges somewhere around $7,000, plus the cost of the medication. So typically I would say all in somewhere $10,000.
Okay. All right, and Anna, I was at 25 years old, people don't usually have those thousands of dollars laying around, but you actually had a few people that stepped in, a few organizations step in that tried to help you, and it wasn't as much for you.
Right, yeah, Livestrong helped subsidize a lot of the medications that we were on. Also, Fertility Centers of Illinois was really great with helping get the cost of all the procedures down.
Yeah, and the big change that's coming January 1st, correct?
Yeah, January 2019 is incredibly exciting. Patients that have a cancer diagnosis, men and women, will have sperm freezing, egg freezing, embryo freezing completely covered.
Awesome.
It's an amazing law. Unfortunately, it only applies to people who insurers is based out of Illinois.
Okay.
So if someone, for instance, companies based out of Michigan, they may still fall through the cracks.
Wow.
That's why these organizations that provide the meds are so important. We at Fertility Centers of Illinois are so committed that we decrease pricing of egg freezing by half for anyone that has a cancer diagnosis.
Okay. Well, Anna, thank you so much for sharing your
thank
story.
you so much.
We appreciate it. You're so brave. Tell your mom hello.
I will.
I got a chance to meet her mom. Just tell her hello. And thank you for sharing your
Yeah.
story. And Dr. Hirshfeld-Cytron, thank you for clarifying some things for women who might be going through something similar or have questions about something in the future. If you would like to learn more, visit fcionline.com.